I was on the short end of the stick on that one. So I looked at that and I thought, well, this is ridiculous.
I took the hit on that one. Got the short end of the stick, looked at the mess, and thought, this is absurd. She didn't just light up the screen, she commanded it. But even sunshine casts shadows. And when Goldie Hawn burns you, the mark lingers. Ethics always guided her, especially in murky waters. For 6 decades, she was America's sweetheart, all charm and sparkle. Off camera, though, Goldie saw Hollywood's underbelly. Egos, tantrums, power plays. She stayed quiet for years. But now, at 79, she's done holding back. These weren't petty spats, they were emotional minefields. Clashes with actors who pushed her limits, crossed lines, and never returned to her circle. She doesn't name names out of malice. She remembers because survival demanded it. Foul Play, Overboard, Private Benjamin, The First Wives Club, iconic films, brimming with her magic. But behind the laughs and chemistry, tensions simmered. Goldie knew who brought the chaos. She never forgot who turned work into warfare. When someone crossed her, she didn't yell. She smiled, and they never got close again. She worked with giants, but only a few left her seething. People who didn't just clash but broke something deeper. Here are the 5 actors Goldie Hawn never forgave. Time hasn't softened the edges. Some actors mesh, others crash. In 1978, on Foul Play, Goldie Hawn and Chevy Chase were dynamite on screen, but off it, sparks turned to friction. Fresh off Saturday Night Live, Chevy was brilliant, erratic, a loose cannon. Goldie, riding high from Shampoo and Private Benjamin, was disciplined, adored, a pro's pro. Their chemistry sold tickets, but backstage it unraveled. Chevy once quipped, "Goldie's cute but bossy, I can handle that." Goldie didn't smirk. Chase's wild improvisations threw off her rhythm. She thrived on precision. He leaned into chaos. A crew member recalled Chevy vanishing between takes or derailing scenes with off-script tangents. Goldie, usually a warm presence, turned icy around him. Director Colin Higgins played referee more than once. What should have been a breezy comedy felt like a pressure cooker. Chevy later shrugged it off. We made it work even if we didn't see eye to eye. Goldie's response? Silence. She never mentioned him again. Never worked with him again. Insiders say she nixed a second project in the 80s without blinking. In a 2004 interview, Goldie hinted at the strain. Sometimes you carry the load, even when someone keeps piling on. Foul Play was a hit, but for Goldie the cost was too high. She didn't slag him off, she didn't need to. Her silence spoke volumes. Chevy's reputation for being difficult grew, clashing with Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and others. Goldie didn't fight or fan the flames. She walked away, done with his energy forever. No feud, no headlines, just a quiet, permanent line drawn. Some clashes flare and fade, others fester. Goldie Hawn and George Segal paired up for The Duchess and The Dirtwater Fox in 1976, a dream team on paper. Segal was fresh off critical acclaim. Goldie was a rising box office queen. But from day one, the vibe was off. Segal, buoyed by success, questioned scripts and directors, often showing up late or ad-libbing freely. Goldie, a stickler for prep and flow, bristled at the disruption. A crew member noted, "She stayed professional, but you could sense the wall." Their on-screen spark fizzled. Scenes meant to pop felt flat. Mid-production, Segal was replaced officially for scheduling conflicts. Whispers pointed to creative clashes and mounting tension. Goldie never spoke his name, but in a 1980 interview she dropped a clue. Some projects test your patience, others test your soul. Segal stayed mum too. Their paths never crossed again. No films, no cameos, no overlap. Years later, Goldie said, "I work best with people who lift the room. If they drag it down, no paycheck's worth it." That was her code. Segal carved out hits like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and Just Shoot Me. Goldie built her legacy with Private Benjamin and beyond. They thrived apart, never revisiting the fracture. For Goldie, it wasn't about grudges. It was about protecting her energy, When she was done, she was done. Some riffs cut deeper than a bad set day. They follow you home. Bill Hudson wasn't just a Hudson brother or a bit part actor. He was Goldie's ex-husband, father to Oliver and Kate. They wed in 1976, welcomed Oliver that year, Kate in 79. By 1982, the marriage was over. Goldie kept shining, Private Benjamin Overboard, while shielding her private life. She rarely uttered Bill's name, pivoting to her kids or her work when pressed. The hurt lived in the subtext. In 2015, Oliver's Father's Day post, Happy Abandonment Day, cracked the silence wide open. It spoke of absence, missed moments, a family shaped by what wasn't there. Bill hit back in interviews claiming he'd been pushed out. I set you free. Goldie didn't engage. She focused on the home she built with Kurt Russell since '83, prioritizing stability for her kids. Bill spilled his side in a memoir and press tours, but Goldie chose restraint over rebuttal. Kate later spoke of forgiveness, but it didn't erase the past. It named it. For Goldie, this wasn't a feud. It was a wound. Years of custody battles, headlines, and strained holidays built a wall. Bill kept performing. Goldie kept creating classics. Their lives diverged, never softening. Her rule was clear. Protect the circle. No drama, no spectacle. Just a line no one crossed twice. Bill Hudson stayed a closed chapter. Some pairings dazzle until they don't. Goldie Hawn and Warren Beatty teamed up twice. Dollars in 1971, Shampoo in 1975. The films were hits, but the dynamic was tricky. In Shampoo, Beatty wasn't just the meow star. He co-wrote, produced, and called the shots. Director Hal Ashby admitted Beatty ran the show. That control could steady a set or stifle it. Goldie, who cherished freedom in her craft, felt the squeeze. Beatty's meticulousness clashed with her need to breathe in a role. Off camera, their chemistry blurred into something more. Co-star Lee Grant later wrote that Beatty romanced Goldie, adding a layer of tension. Goldie herself admitted his allure. He was so handsome, I thought my eyes might burn staring at him. But charm and control don't always mix. Shampoo soared, earning critical praise and an Oscar for Grant. But Goldie never signed on for a third Beatty project. She later said, I need room to move in a role, not a leash. Beatty became Hollywood's golden boy. Goldie kept stacking hits. 2 films, 4 years, then a quiet exit. She didn't badmouth him, she just didn't return. For Goldie, silence wasn't spite. It was a choice to work with those who matched. Her flow. Some rifts aren't born of conflict, they're born of avoidance. Goldie Hawn and Dustin Hoffman, titans of their era, never shared a screen. That void speaks volumes. Hoffman's intensity was legendary, pushing for realism, sometimes, at others' expense. Stories from Kramer versus. Kramer described a grueling set, with director Sidney Pollack and co-star Meryl Streep navigating his demands. Streep later said he overstepped. Goldie, by contrast, built her career on trust and ease. She guarded the tone of a set, favoring collaborators who left space, not scars. Hoffman's approach, relentless, combative, didn't align. When his behavior drew scrutiny years later, he issued a statement. I feel terrible if I made anyone uncomfortable. Goldie never commented. She didn't need to. Their careers ran parallel. The Graduate, Tootsie for him. Private Benjamin, First Wives Club for her. Yet they never crossed paths. No comedies, no dramas, no near misses. For 2 stars who could have headlined anything in the 70s or 80s, that gap feels deliberate. Goldie didn't feud or call him out. She simply chose her circle, open, steady, respectful, and kept him out of it. Goldie Hawn didn't slam doors or make scenes. She smiled, stepped back, and locked certain people out for good. Some burn bridges with words. Goldie did it with silence. It wasn't loud, but it was final. For these 5, that silence was exile. So, who do you think nearly made Goldie's blacklist or deserved a spot? Share your thoughts below. If you want more Hollywood shadows and buried riffs, subscribe, and join for the deep cuts, because in Goldie's world, forgiveness didn't mean a comeback, it meant goodbye. And her quietest moves roared the loudest.